and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all well. So today I thought I would come on and just tell you a little bit about how I do backgrounds and the materials that I use, the tools that I use, etc., and some examples of that. And then if after watching that you would like me to do some demonstrations, I'd be more than happy to do so. Just drop a comment, drop a note in the comment about what you might like to see me doing demos of. So I think the first thing I'm going to start with is chalk pastels. I think this was the first thing I started off with in terms of doing a background, and it's because Johanna Basford said this is the kind of thing that I use. And they're relatively simple in terms of the use of them. I have these. I think I just got them very cheaply off Amazon. It's a set of 24 soft pastels, come in as sticks like these. They were very cheap. I get most of my stuff from Amazon, to be honest. But I will see if I can put a link down below. My daughter has these, which I think are the ones that most people have. Myungo pastels. They're a little bit smaller, but they do have more colours. But that's what she has. She barely uses hers, to be honest, so I could nick them. So I apply these. Some people use a standing knife, and they get the stick. They get the stick and they get a standing knife and they shave a little bit off, and the powder drops onto the paper, and then they smush it around with cotton wool. Now I use these cotton wool pads, which are just makeup remover pads, or cleanser. I use these. I don't tend to use the standing knife. I normally rub this on the stick and then I apply it to my page, and I do it in circular motions, and you can build up the colour really easily. Now of course with chalk pastels you do need to use a fixative, because otherwise it will come off and transfer to your pages. I use this fixative spray. You do have to be careful. I find it sometimes does bleed through the page, and it sometimes might look like that, but when it dries it actually hasn't. So yeah, that's what I use. All my stuff's fallen off. Frustrating. That is, I'll sort that out later. That is what I use to apply chalk pastels. I don't have any of that downstairs with me right now. I don't tend to use chalk pastels very much, because I've found other things that I think I like more. But if you're just thinking and starting to think about backgrounds, then I would say chalk pastel is a really good medium to start adding embellishments to your backgrounds. And it's relatively inexpensive, and you don't need that many additional tools to apply them. So and the tools that, like those makeup pads, you can buy them in a supermarket for relatively cheaply. And I think that's probably, I can't get any of these things back in the right container. I think that's the beauty of chalk pastels. But you can build up the colour, you can blend them together, and it works pretty well. Something that I've used, that I bought quite recently, are some artist oil pastels. I am still learning how to use these at the moment. And the first page I tried it on was this one. And I used them around the border of this cat ring. And then I added some glitter on top. And I basically just drew on the page with the oil pastel, and it was red and it was orange, and then I blended them together with my finger. I haven't been brave enough yet to do a whole page background with them yet. And I'd need to find something that I didn't really care about in order that if I messed it up, I wouldn't mind. So I've got some of these gallery. Again, they're by Mungyo. I got 50 colours in here. I think it's 48. There's 2 blacks and 2 whites. But I quite like them. They're quite nice. Again, I got these from like £10 in Temu. So again, relatively inexpensive. But I think there's a big learning curve with oil pastels that I still need to go through in order to use them. Next thing I would say is acrylic paint. So I think when I started using acrylic paint, I was using like Posca pens. So I've got like a set of these, a set of 8, and these are the PC 1MR, and they've got quite a fine tip. So you wouldn't use that for a background, but I've got 4 of these. So these are the PC 5M, bullet shaped nib. And I've got gold, silver, black and white. And I have used the big black one to do backgrounds. But I found with a Posca pen, it still looks quite streaky. I don't know if that's just the way that I'm using them. So I didn't feel terribly satisfied using an acrylic paint pen for a background. So I moved on to acrylic paint in a bottle. So I've got Deco Art Americana. This is in lamp ebony black. But then I also wanted some iridescent paints, and I got these Magic Fly, and they come in some amazing colours. So fluorescent mint green, emerald green, soft pink. This is a set of 24, and I really like this set. And I found they work really well when you mix them together. Like, you can put the black acrylic paint down and then one of these over the top to give the black like a pearlescent sheen. So they work really nicely together. And I'll just show you. So I've used acrylic paint on this page. This is in Magical Jungle. And what happened is this had transferred. So I had a lot of yellow in the background here, and I thought, well, the only way I'm going to fix that is with acrylic paint, where you completely cover it. So this is a mixture of a green and a lime green mixed together with actually white ink splattered over the top. But I really like acrylic paint. Again, there is a bit of a learning curve with it. You have to kind of put the strokes all in the same direction, otherwise you can see all the strokes of the paint. I think I maybe need to water mine down a bit, but I really like it as an alternative background. And I have done quite a lot of black backgrounds where you paint it black. And then I have got this Deco Art Galaxy Glitter. So you could see that, which you can add over black acrylic paint. This is an acrylic top coat. This is Supernova Berry. And I've got stuff like Enchanted Shimmer, which adds a sheen in blue, and some Dragonfly Glaze, which kind of gives a 3-way shift. So again, you can put that over black acrylic paint. So I like these acrylic pouring paints, as I think they're called. I've got some Arteza upstairs, which are like pastel colours as well, which again, quite nice. I just use a paintbrush. Again, I think I could water them down a little, to be honest, more than I do. I think I just pour them in and start using them. It's probably why I experience a little bit of difficulty with strokes. So that is acrylic paint. I think the next thing, I would say I've got some, don't know if I can show, yeah. Have I? Yes, it should be in there. It's Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolours. So I've got this palette. I can never open it. Oh, maybe because, no, I'm definitely, yeah, and they always go everywhere whenever I take them up. Yep. They've all stuck to the pad again. Ugh. So annoying. So I have this beautiful set. I think it's of something like a 48 set. Very creamy. The colours are highly pigmented. Beautiful. I'm going to put some more greaseproof, I think, over the top of that, because it always sticks to the top. I always feel as though I'm losing a load of paint. And I use those, and I actually did a full YouTube colour along for this one. I used that in the background for this witch, and I went dark to light with the colours. I mixed some of them together, blended them together, and they worked really, really well. I did go over this with pencil to even out. I find that with watercolours, which I'm still learning, but this isn't watercolour paper. I like to even it out with pencil afterwards, just to make it kind of, sometimes I'm a bit splotchy with how I do it. This was watercolour as well. But yeah, it seemed to work really, really well. So yeah, I'm getting into using more of my watercolours. So that's my Winsor & Newton Cotton watercolours, and I got those for Christmas last year, which was great. Because I've had quite a few. So I've got these are like normal colours, but I've also got some Arteza metallic watercolours and some glittery watercolours from like Art Spirits, who's on Etsy, KJ designed by Karen, who's on Etsy. I've also got some like glittery watercolours, but I've kind of talked about those in what I use to do shimmery, glittery, metallic backgrounds, which I will link up here. So that's my kind of Winsor & Newton watercolours. Then the next thing I like to use is ink. I like to use Ranger's Distress Oxide, I prefer, rather than the inks. These are just a few: Tattered Rose, Milled Lavender. I like the big ones rather than the minis. Scattered Straw and Black Soot. I like to store them up. Apparently, if you store them upside down, the ink remains at the top. So that's why I've been told. But the thing with the inks is there's a number of ways to apply them. So you get these tools, which are like foam circles that you put on the end, and then you can kind of go like that. But I didn't get on with these at all. I found you could see all of the circular motions that I was doing. So I very, very quickly switched to these kind of applicators, which are actually makeup brushes. And I got a set of something like 12 of these off eBay. And they're much softer, there's more hair. It can be quite concentrated, but also quite soft, depending on how much pressure that you put on. So for Distress ink, is at the front of this book, I think, yeah. So this is Distress ink. This was, I think, I can't remember the colours, definitely Black Soot. It was a purple. I can't remember what purple is I've got. Villainous something. Yeah. So this was a purple with a black over the top, and then I sprayed it with water to get these kind of white distress marks over the top. And I really like the ink. It can be much softer. It doesn't have to be as vibrant a colour as that. It can be much softer. It did bleed through, unfortunately, and it does tend to if you put the water on it. Depends how much water you spray, but just to be aware of that. But I should be able to fix that with an acrylic background. But yeah, that's an example of the Distress Oxide look. You can get lots of like mini inky ones. They come in sets of 4. And there's lots and lots and lots of colours. I think I've got all the colours I want to get. But that's the ink. Then after that is gelatos. Now gelatos are, well, they basically look like lip balm in a stick. I've got the planets, and then I've got some iridescent ones as well. So this is Nebula, and it's kind of a greeny colour. But they've got like a glitter to them. So this is Nebula, Mars, and I've got Black Hole, or what's this the other one? Galaxy, this one's broken. But you can also use them with water. So you can put them on a palette, put them with water and paint them on. I don't like to use them like that. I like to use them as a gel stick. An example of that, I don't know where it is in Midnight Masquerade, which I did last month. And this background is gelatos. So I scribble it on a palette and actually lift it with one of those makeup brushes that I use with the inks. I don't know if you can pick up the sheen on there. but that's kind of sheen that you get. And then I splattered this with black ink. So that's Mars, basically, that, and there's no bleed at all. So I like gelatos. I don't tend to use them as much as I should, but that's probably because I have what I think is my favourite background creator. And that is my TBC Silky crayons. I got these off Amazon. I think they were something like £18. 36 colours in here. And they're very similar in the, you know, they're basically really, really soft crayons. Really, really soft. They're called Silky crayons. So if you're expecting something like a Crayola crayon, they are much, much softer than that. I mean, you can see the point on here, how it's really gone down, and that's just with a scribble on a palette. They're pretty much like the gelatos in terms of that. Again, you can use these with water, but I don't use them like that. Lovely, lovely array of colours. They've got some gold and a silver in here as well. I think these are my favourite background. And again, I use them with these makeup brushes. I scribble them on this, my Caran d'Ache palette, which has got a rough one side and a silky one side. Scribble them on a palette, pick them up with a brush, and circular motions onto the book. I've actually just finished a page yesterday, which will be a sneak preview of my pages for October. I finished this yesterday, and this is the Silky crayon background. So I've used 4 different colours on here, like a kind of orangey yellow, a lighter yellow, and lots of different colour blues. Actually, it's about 3 blues to get this guy. And then they blend really nicely. So this is yellow in the blue, and it's created this lovely kind of limey green colour. I just love them to create backgrounds. You don't need to fix them. No, they're not sticky at all. They're maybe a little bit sticky, but I mean, this has had 24 hours because I finished this last night. But yeah, I absolutely love them to create backgrounds. That is my favourite background maker. That's from Amazon. I will see if I can find links to these things that I've mentioned so that you can have a look for yourself. But that's it. That's essentially my background creators that I like to use. So I hope you found that useful. Like I said, if you want any demos, do drop me a comment and I'll see what I can do in terms of making a video with those. I do tend, when I do full colour alongs, you get everything that you get the background and all when I do a full colour along on the channel. And I will be looking to do a full colour along shortly, and I'll put a poll in the community tab if you could let me know what you might want to see. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again soon. Bye.